Alaska, seen by most who go there from ships cruising the Inside Passage, a channel 500 miles long in the southeast where 1,000 islands protect ships from ocean storms. Seattle is the gateway, sending 800,000 cruise passengers north in 2008. You won't see any of these guys on your Alaska cruise. And you won't see any Eskimos either. The midnight sun, much farther north. What you do get is scenery, 3 gourmet meals a day, and the hope of seeing a whale or a bald eagle. So Irma and I sign up for the Amsterdam, which makes the 7-day, 2,000-mile northern cruise for Holland America Lines. In a Klondike gold rush for cruise lines, the Amsterdam is one of 9 ships leaving Seattle every weekend from May to September. Just 9 hours after returning from Alaska, she's refueled and ready to sail again. We have the choice of reserving the spacious Peter Stuyvesant suite for $5,200. Instead, for less than half that sum, we take an efficient stateroom with 2 classically nautical windows on the main deck. The bed is comfy and there's a TV. Also plenty of storage space because the ship also makes round-the-world cruises lasting 4 months. 780 feet long, the Amsterdam is a real hike from bow to stern, but she's considered merely a mid-size cruise ship these days. The nearly 1,400 passengers are ordered to their stations for the mandatory lifeboat drill before sailing for Juneau, Glacier Bay, Sitka, and Ketchikan. Under cloudy skies, the Amsterdam is underway to the music of a jazz group in the Crow's Nest Lounge up on Deck 9. Slowly heading north through Puget Sound, there's a nice view of Seattle and the Space Needle. The Dutch touch ranges from the flag on the bow to a bust of Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands and a windmill. Not very Alaskan, but a cruise line sailing under a foreign flag avoids paying U.S. union wages. The crew doesn't seem to mind. It's full of cheerful Indonesians from the former Dutch East Indies. The Amsterdam, sort of a floating Las Vegas hotel, has a 3-story art centerpiece called the Astrolabium, a massive clock thing that must weigh 20 tons. They could have left it out and saved on diesel fuel, which at $5 a gallon costs $1.2 million to fill the tanks. The main dining room has 2 levels, 2 seatings for dinner, and first-class food. That's just one reason our table mates say they love cruising.
Relax and basically just being waited on, doing whatever you want, doing nothing, just really calm. You don't have to pick up and go, you don't have to drive. Very well fed. You can eat as much as you want, as little as you want, whenever you want, pretty much.
On 2 nights during the cruise, dinner dress is formal. Tux and evening gowns strongly recommended. It's also elegant that Irma and I are hoping the captain will join us at our table. After all, the captain's table is a maritime tradition, as in this photo of a Bermuda cruise ship. And on the Holland America Line website, the captain of the Amsterdam sister ship, the Veendam, has an outgoing smile. Our captain, Fred Everson, works and lives on the deck with the fanciest staterooms. For us, he remains an unseen figure up on the bridge, as mysterious as Captain Ahab. He does make occasional announcements. Since the captain is not a total recluse, I submit a request at the front desk to meet him. While waiting, I explore the 10 public decks. 12 gleaming elevators make it easy to get up and down. You know, it's true about cruising. Most passengers need elevators. They're too old and out of shape to handle stairs. By the time they decide to see the world, it's too late to enjoy it. About all they can do is doze, like Fred from Wichita here. With all the wheelchairs, walkers, and canes, it's no surprise that one of the most popular shipboard services is the infirmary. It's not totally fair to say that the Amsterdam is the SS Geritol. Families bring enough kids to fill the video arcade, which has the latest games to keep them from getting bored. Teenagers have a hideaway night spot of their own, so private that I never find it. The main swimming pool, not very big, is monopolized by moms with the tiniest tots, or else by splashing kids just a little bigger. For seafarers who just can't live without their email, there's an internet cafe at an extra charge. A library provides bestsellers for the Alaska-bound who just want a quiet voyage. Or like Irma, you can bring your own book to the hushed library and spend hours at sea immersed in yoga, Hinduism, Danielle Steele, whatever your taste is. If you want to upgrade your lifestyle the Martha Stewart way, there's a culinary arts center where you can watch a lecture on napkin folding. In a glittering shopping arcade, the heat is on husbands to spend big money to buy jewelry or $50,000 Picasso etchings, putting the charges on a credit card that everyone must register with the front desk for extra charges during the cruise. Drinks, most notably, are not included in the ticket price. Since most leisure travelers would rather buy a drink than a diamond necklace, a cruise line makes a lot of extra money from the ship's wall-to-wall bars, and even more at the casino. Cruise lines encourage guests to spend several thousand more dollars arranging shore excursions, glacier hikes, dog sledding, you name it. But you can stay aboard and enjoy the lounge music for no extra cost.
Just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I.
The Big Time Entertainment Center is a showroom where singers, dancers, and an Elton John imitator stage 2 shows a night. The glitter rivals Broadway. Costumes by Cher's Bob Mackie.
One night only, come on with me, come on. One night only, we only have till dawn. One night only, that's all I have to say. One night only, let's not pretend to care. We only have one night.
Everybody under the age of 45, 45 and younger, get back, honky tonk. Get back, honky tonk. Get back. Yeah, liars. Liars.
After the show, bold passengers strut their singing in karaoke.
Some get a kick from cocaine. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, it would bore me terrifically too. 'Cause I get a kick out of you.
For others, there's the daily Team Trivia Challenge.
What was the most frequently visited internet shopping site by the end of the 1990s?
Everybody's really into, so we have a hot stone massage, which is very, very popular, 75 minutes. Our Litherapy Hydrolift facial is very popular. Our LMS Pro Collagen facial, very treatment. We have a full salon, so hair treatments, nail technician, yeah. So we have everything. And gym.
I look around for somewhere to run. The lower promenade deck is a natural track, 5 laps to a mile, largely shielded from wind and with few shipmates to dodge. But Holland America rules that jogging is forbidden. Serious runners are consigned to the treadmill, a brutal yet boring workout and a major disappointment. Often rainy off Canada's British Columbia, the Inside Passage is sunny today but windy and chilly. Few venture out to watch the Royal Caribbean liner Rhapsody of the Seas shadowing us into Juneau. The Canadian wind increases to gale force. Deck chairs and the outdoor swimming pool go unused. Outdoor tennis, badminton, and basketball courts designed for Caribbean cruises also get no customers. The traditional shuffleboard, anyone? Not in these northern latitudes when you're making 20 knots. From the bridge, no response from the captain on saying hello. Every ship cruising the Inside Passage stops at Juneau. In fact, no roads connect to Juneau, and the only way to get here is by boat or air. The celebrity liner Millennium beats us to the dock. The giant Rhapsody of the Seas steams in behind us. That makes 3 ships crowding the port at once. Great news for local merchants and excursion guides.
Welcome to Juneau.
That's all it looks like now.
Up here, Alaskans make a virtue of their rugged isolation. Signs that Alaska is a conservative Republican state aren't hard to find. Even so, Alaskans are libertarian individualists who think for themselves. Juneau and just about every other Alaskan town name a street for this guy. Alaskans revere Secretary of State William H. Seward for buying Seward's Folly from Russia in 1867 for 15 cents an acre. In 1959, Congress made a bargain, giving Republicans Alaska as the 49th state, Democrats Hawaii as the 50th. On the state flag, the Big Dipper and North Star. You might think that with all the North Slope oil revenue, Alaska could afford a good-looking state capitol building. This one looks like a government warehouse in Omaha or Sioux Falls. On the other hand, where else could you find right across the street artists restoring an ancient Tlingit Indian totem pole for the Capitol lawn? By the way, I don't know of any other governor's mansion that has its own totem pole. Excursions by float plane, which is practically Alaska's state animal, are made easy by the proximity to the ship of the Canadian-made de Havilland otters and beavers that carry tourists through glaciers, rivers, and forests. For $548, we head for the Taku Glacier Lodge, 20 minutes by air southeast of Juneau.
When I was a child and I lived in the city, I dreamed of Alaska, so far away, and I dreamed I was flying over mountains and glaciers. Somehow I knew that I'd live there one day. Well, it took me some growing and a fair bit of schooling, a little bit of trouble to get on the move. And I felt like a loser, but I turned out the winner. when I came to Alaska, the land that I love. Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me. I was born in a cabin on Little Mulchatna, raised in hard times, but I had a good life. From the first time I flew with my father a-singing, I knew that I'd wind up a bush pilot's wife. We sleep near the sound of the slow-running river and wake up most mornings to a drizzling rain. And we live every day like the first or the last one, with nothing to lose and heaven to gain. Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me.
The Taku Glacier, unlike glaciers retreating because of global warming, is advancing. It may swallow the lodge within 20 years. Meanwhile, though, the family-run lodge, 85 years old, does a brisk business baking salmon caught in the Taku River and serving the fish to tourists who drop in by air. Visitors do get a scary warning that we're in the real Alaska, black bear country. Sure enough, when the salmon comes off the grill, something furry stirs in the trees. Suddenly, a mother bear and two nearly grown cubs are raiding the salmon grill for the leavings. Just out of hibernation and, well, hungry as a bear, Mama and her 2-year-olds barely notice the enchanted tourists. The bears are wild and the lodge staff keeps a distance, but the salmon leftovers have become a daily treat that draws the photogenic animals within camera range. Mama Bear retreats to the family tree after her big lunch and waits for the cubs to join her. Alaskan black bears live on the coast. Brown bears live inland and polar bears on the rapidly disappearing sea ice in the Arctic far north. Brown bears include grizzlies and the Kodiak bears of Kodiak Island, the world's largest bears. Our last cub makes it back up the tree and we're ready to fly back to the ship. We have just enough time for a brew at the historic Red Dog Saloon near the Juneau waterfront. It's touristy now, but the country music is not bad.
Oh, my ex live in Tennessee. That's why I hang my hat in Tennessee.
Before reboarding, travelers use a hand sanitizer to kill the bacteria that can wreck a cruise with mass dysentery. Northward now to Glacier Bay National Park for, what else, more glaciers. Now at the northernmost reach of the trip, the Amsterdam edges in for a close-up of one of the many glaciers inching down to the scenic mountain-rimmed bay. This river of ice starts on the 13,000-foot slopes of Mount Fairweather to the west. Our weather is fair but icy, and the smartest passengers are dressing in layers. What folks are looking for is the apocalyptic image from Al Gore's movie An Inconvenient Truth, the sight of a glacier calving off under climate change, the ice raising sea levels worldwide. But if the world is ending, cruise passengers at least will go out in style. Four kayakers from a smaller ship paddle in for a closer look. Suddenly, everybody gets what they came for.
Tourists usually ask about the color of the glacier. Why is the glacier blue? And of course that's from the ice being compacted so tightly that when the light rays hits it, only the blue bounces back, and that's what we see. And then a lot of questions about, do you live here in the winter and things like that. And most of the rangers are seasonal, and most of us will go somewhere else for the winter. I go down to the Everglades, and I work with kids down there doing a 6th grade program, taking them on swamp walks.
As we head out of the bay, I'm about ready to buy postcards of sea animals because I haven't seen any. But then, off the port bow, the fin of an orca, or killer whale. This one doesn't leap about like Shamu, but then this isn't SeaWorld. A glimpse of a sea otter also. The Russians sold Alaska after they killed nearly all the otters for their fur and saw no more money to be made. As we near the park headquarters at the mouth of Glacier Bay, a government speedboat arrives to extract the 3 ranger naturalists who have guided us. It's an intricate operation as the small craft and the Amsterdam coordinate their movements at high speed. The rangers go through this hazardous process almost daily, another thrill for cruise passengers. South to Sitka, an inside passage fishing town that for Tsar Alexander II was the capital of Russian Alaska. The Russian flag came down here in the 1867 ceremony, turning the territory over to the United States. Sitka is in the shadow of a volcano, Mount Edgecumbe. The Amsterdam anchors offshore, too big for Sitka's docks. The ship's tenders ply to and from shore all day. Now would be a good time for the captain to make an appearance, wishing the passengers happy shopping and agreeing to an amiable interview for our camera, but still no captain. Sitka is dominated by the Russian Orthodox St. Michael's Cathedral, one of the few remaining relics of Russian rule. Precious icons were saved from a fire in the 1960s. Parishioners are mostly Indians whose ancestors were converted by the Russian bishops. In a clash of cultures earlier in the 1800s, the local Indians resented the Russian intruders and killed a few. Russia reacted in American frontier style, building a defense line of fences and forts while the bishops worked to Christianize the Indians. Today, Sitka is a typical inside passage town with a fleet of salmon fishing boats that winter in Seattle. If there's one thing you'll learn around here, it's the 5 types of Alaska salmon. You've got your king or chinook, your sockeye, your pink, your coho, and your chum. In gold rush days, the business was mining. Now, for some Sitkans, it's selling reindeer hot dogs to tourists.
How's business this year with the tourists?
Business is great, as long as it's not raining.
Yeah. And how often does it rain here?
Pretty much every day.
How many tourists run around here every day?
We don't have ships every day, but it can be between 2 and 4,000.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
And we have a population of 8,500, so that really impacts our community.
Another early morning, another salmon fishing town with more canneries. In typical cloudy weather, though the usual rain is absent, cruise passengers learn that Ketchikan is where 3 Indian tribal cultures warily come together, the Tlingit, the Haida, and the Tsimshian. Here on Revillagigedo Island, no roads link Ketchikan with the rest of North America, so the family float plane is the family car. Another excursion, this time by boat, to the Misty Fjords National Monument, 50 miles out of Ketchikan. The Amsterdam stopover is only 6 hours. Even with a fast catamaran, we're cutting it close. Captain Tim, a friendly and accessible skipper, is at the wheel as we thread among inside passage islands and channels, approaching the Alaskan mainland where the grizzly bears live. By now, I was ready to settle for this postcard because I had also lost hope of seeing a humpback whale. But this humpback shows us its hump for maybe a nanosecond. Anyhow, Captain Tim swears it was a humpback. This postcard was starting to look good too. With thousands of bald eagles supposedly in Alaska, I had yet to photograph one. Oh, there's a couple right over here.
Little snake right there on that bluff there.
Sunset on our last night at sea, followed by the jolly ritual marching of the waves and ever-friendly Indonesians wish long life to Tom and Jake from Houston who see them for their December wedding anniversary. To the end, the elusive captain runs on the bridge. By now, I don't blame him. It's 8 a.m. when we dock, and by 4 this afternoon, he'll be guiding yet another bunch of tourists north to Alaska. Disembarking, the seafarers sort out their memories. For myself, I would have traded 2 glaciers for a moose or a family of orcas, and I saw a lot more of the luxury ship than of the wildlife. But one glowing memory abides, the beauty of Alaska's Inside Passage, as adventurous as you choose to make it.